acting is an industry that's not for the faint at heart. There's a lot of stress that comes along with it. There's a lot of dues to be paid that also comes along with it. Anyone that ever been in the industry will let you know that there's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of waiting. There's a lot of hurrying up, which equals hurrying up and waiting. But when you actually have a gift and a knack for something and a passion and a purpose to do it, there's nothing that can stop you. That's the story with Angela Robinson. I got to know her a little bit during this interview, and I'm really sure that you're going to enjoy everything that you find out about her. Angela plays the character Veronica Harrington on Tyler Perry's Have and Have-Nots, which airs on the OWN network. With a character that has so much depth and so many layers to it, it was a lot to peel back to kind of ask Angela about these character traits. But before I get into that, I want to know more about who she is, because it's always important to know the person behind the character.
I had a really great, fun childhood with, you know, your normal challenges. But I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, with my mother and my father, and grew up in what would be considered the hood. But for me, it was a wonderful Black neighborhood with neighbors who cared, neighbors who looked out for one another, who would tell your mama if they saw you somewhere you weren't supposed to be, where you walked to the corner store to get some things for your mom and come right back home. Yeah. Yeah, went to high school, had a great time in high school, junior high school. Yeah, life was pretty normal, pretty great. Went to FAMU after I graduated from high school. Went to Florida A&M University. Go Rattlers.
I won't hold that against you.
Where'd you go?
Johnson C. Smith.
Ah, okay.
We'll let you kind of have the moment for now.
Listen, we'll still we in the same.
Oh, we can do this. Like, we can banter back and forth. Outside, don't do it.
Yes, right.
Don't do it.
But you know, Rattler for life. So God bless you. But yeah, so you know, then tried to find my way, figuring out what my way was, and knowing what I wanted to do, and trying to couple that with how to do it. So I spent a couple of years wandering, trying to figure it out, doing a lot of different jobs that would have been considered to my parents a good job, and but it wasn't my dream. So I left that good job and moved to New York to pursue to try to make it on Broadway.
How hard was that? Because, you know, a lot of people that I talk to that are in the entertainment industry, they've done that. They've left that, you know, good paying, well benefited job and pursue like a passion. And most parents aren't for it.
No, mine weren't.
So how hard was that for you?
It was hard. It was really hard. But I did not feel that I had a choice. I really felt so pulled and so purposed. And I mean, I'm literally using the word purpose because that's how I felt. Even at a young age, I felt purposed to do what I had to do. So, yeah, I just had to go. And what God did for me, because for the first year of my pursuit as a full-time theater artist, I lived in my car and I drove around the country to regional theaters, and I would work at the theater, and regional theaters would provide housing for you. So I lived in their housing, and when that was up, I got back in the car and hopefully get it, because I wanted to move to New York with a resume. I didn't want to come with like no credits, you know. So
which makes it harder.
Yeah,
harder, especially New York.
Yeah. So I did that, and what God did for me is one of the girls who was a roommate of mine at Arkansas Repertory Theater. She was moving to New York right after we worked together. And so I visited her. I said, I'm going to come visit you. I'll see what it's like in New York. And I did. And when I got there, she said, I signed you up for an audition. She said, I know, you know, you're just here to look around, but I figured you should see like what auditions feel like and all that stuff. So she signed me up. and I booked it. And so I went from going to visit to try to figure it out to you have to be back here in 3 weeks because we start rehearsal. So God kind of knew that it had to work that way for me. So I didn't really have time to listen to naysayers. I'm like, I'm starting rehearsal in 3 weeks, honey. Either I got to go.
Gotta go. And it's so crazy how I tell people like everything just it lines up. Mm-hmm. And it seems like it's hectic and it seems like it's crazy and like you feel like you're in the wind, but you have that drive and something's telling you like go do this.
Yeah.
And if you listen to it, it's everything just lines up perfectly.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what happened. And there was some really tough times. There was some really great times because I hit really fast. Mm-hmm. And you have to be very careful with hitting fast because you gonna have winter season. It just depends on if your winter season gonna come first or your harvest gonna come first. But it's coming, so it's gonna come. So so I had to figure that out because I hit so fast when winter came. I was like, what you mean they don't want me? What?
Fast.
So the reality of it all hit, and what I always try to tell young people, not young people, really older people, the reason why it's important to support your children in their dreams and their pursuits is that during those really hard times, I never told my parents because I felt like I couldn't hear, you shouldn't have gone there. Or you should. So I never confided in them when my lights were off. I had to go through that stage sort of by myself. And so I just think, you should really be because that's when they need the support. Yeah. When it's kicking and the money is flowing, you happy to have the support, but you don't need it.
Right. Like I was fortunate. My mom was always follow your heart, do what you love doing, and you'll be fine. And again, when it came to hard times, I would never call home and tell her because I didn't want her worrying. And then secondly, I didn't want to hear anyone tell me like what you're doing right now is bad.
Yeah.
And I don't need you to remind me of it, but it's like, I feel this and I know it's going to come through. And it did. And she celebrates and she's like, my baby does such and such and such and such. And it's great. But it's like those other things, like we'll never talk about. And it's just, I felt like she didn't need to know. And I just didn't want that weight of telling her and then like having to hear the response of it.
I totally get it. You're so right. That was the scene. My husband, his mom, he was in a school play when he was 13 in the 8th grade. Mm-hmm. And when he came off stage, his mother and grandmother were in the audience. And the minute he came off stage toward them, she said to him, "You're an actor." And from the moment that was sort of validated in him at 13 years old, mm-hmm. He's never doubted that. He's never had those moments that I have, like, well, should I have stayed home? Should I have not, he could be broke he's like, no, this is what I do. So it's important to validate, my parents only wanted what was best for me, like your parents as well. Mm-hmm. And when they came through, when it all worked out and they could see their baby on Broadway, they're the first one talking about, that's my baby. And that's, and so listen, I'll take it when I could get it. And I understood that in the end, they really just wanted what was best for me.
Yeah. Ultimately, parents don't want to see their kids struggle. And it's like, there's an easier way to do this. Just do this later. And right now, just kind of get yourself together. And it's like, when you're in that moment, I don't want to get myself together. Like, I need to follow this because
I got to do this. Yeah.
It's heavy and I need to do it.
Yeah. And then the thing is too, right? In this season now that we're living in, you could be anything and be struggling.
Anything. It don't matter.
It don't matter.
It don't matter. It don't matter what you were doing before March.
Right.
Right now, you in the struggle with everybody else.
You in it with everybody else. So you can't really be judging it, by that, because
it's definitely a wake up call.
Definitely.
when you're acting and you get a role like Veronica, and like we know how Tyler shoots, it's a lot at once, but she has so many layers to her, and like it's every season like something else gets peeled back. How do you embrace all of that and still come through with this character and this personality and then leave her on set? Because I know that's a lot to leave on set.
It is, but it isn't. I mean, I feel like I became an actor so that I could craft characters and bring them to life. That's why I became an actor. I was so fascinated by characters. So when Tyler wrote this character, and I'm blessed enough to do it. It really is a character. And when it's done and I take off that wig and I take off, that tight dress, I'm me. And I'm very clear that I'm me. Now, there are some things about Veronica I wish I could take with me. I wish I could walk in a building and start throwing glass, but I can't. But yeah, it's really not hard to take off. The only time it gets hard, and I haven't had any scenes like this in the past couple of years, because she's just been all Veronica all the time.
Veronica.
Yeah. But in the beginning, I had some really emotional moments with my son and emotional moments with my husband. And those were hard because you have to go to a place in order to live them out on camera.
Right.
And those were hard. I would be depressed for days.
Wow.
Having gone down that rabbit hole, just because at the time my son is 2. Okay. And so when we started, I didn't have a child, so I would really have to go deep to figure out, to imagine how this character feels, having poured everything she had into one child, one son, and he didn't become who she dreamed he would become. I don't think Veronica is necessarily homophobic, but I do think she is 100% the most controlling perfectionist ever.
Yeah.
And so you gonna be who I dreamed you would be. And when that doesn't happen, that's extremely, extremely painful for her. So when she was living out reality moments like that was hard. But then she went kind of cuckoo, and that stuff is just fun to play.
Yeah.
I think I've had the most fun on that show. I mean, one, because it goes so fast and Tyler moves really fast. So you don't have the thing that you have in other shows. You have to sit around and wait, and then you do 2 pages, and then tomorrow you do. We do, lots of pages. I'll put it that way. We do lots of pages in one day. And I think because he moves so fast, the impact of it is greater, because you're not bored ever, not one moment. You're not sitting around ever, not one moment. You're involved and engaged the whole time. And that makes it, it just makes it, a more fulfilling situation. And you become very, very close as a cast, because you have to work so fast and very close together.
Yeah. Did you, when you got into this character and then you had the issues with your son on the show, did you run into issues with the gay community after that? Because, some people can't separate television from reality. Mm-hmm. Did you run into any of that?
So, only once. It's been great with the LGBTQ community. It's been great. I think anybody's heart, I think, shines through if you see them in interviews or get to know them. So anybody who knows me knows that I'm an advocate for the gay community. And that this is my community. You know, I'm in the theater, you know, and my friends, I walk with them arm in arm with everything that they're going through. So no, but one time a gentleman that came from me on Facebook, I could tell he was having issues with his own identity, because the way he came from me, it was like when I talked to Jeffrey, I was talking to him.
Right.
And he was just kind of like, and the way you spoke to Jeffrey and he was really serious to the point that he said he wanted to kill me. And he started posting the gun he was going to use to kill me. It got a little out of hand that I had to really contact the authorities, because it got out of hand with him. But in general, no, the gay community has been great. But like I said, I'm a friend, and I counted that role, and being able to play her fully, honestly, an honor, because I've heard so many stories from my friends about the hate and the things that they've gone through. And I thought, if I could live this out fully and honestly, so that people could see what hate looks like, what true homophobia can look like. And like I said, I'm not sure that Veronica is homophobic, but a lot of her actions say that. I don't think she is. She's too world traveled. She just like, I like him, but you're not gonna be that, you know. So, right. Yeah, it's been a joy. It's been great for me to bring that to life. And then what I had happen a few times, but one time I remember I was in line going to a show, and this man came up to me and he said, you know, I could get with Veronica and the way she feel about her son, but sometimes I look at what you do and I say, oh man, I can't be that bad. And that was like that. That's what I want to happen. I want people to look and say, I want it to be a mirror, which is what art should be. And people say, nah, I don't want to be that bad.
Because the character definitely makes you turn the mirror on yourself and say, you know, have I treated anyone like that for being who they are? Yeah. And it's one of those brilliant things that Tyler's able to do. He makes you relate to characters and gets you so invested in them that when they do something wrong, it makes you look at yourself. Yeah. And that's literally what I think happens the entire way across this show.
Yeah. Yeah. That's his gift. You're so right. That's his gift. You know, he did something the other night that I'm like, the man is. I was going to see Jeffrey at his apartment, and I walked in afraid of catching the gay, I guess. And I walked in with gloves and a mask on. Now, mind you, we filmed this way before any COVID, like way before. And somehow it's still relevant to the times. I'm walking around with gloves and a mask on.
Everyone has this emotion for you. Some of it is hate, like on the show. Some of it's hate. Some of it's fear. And then you have like the envy of others. So it's like everyone looks at you from a different scope, and they want different parts of you or want nothing to do with you. And that's why I just feel like it feels like the show at this point is wrapped around you and around your character, and everyone is kind of directed at you in some kind of way. Do you feel that at all?
No, I think that we all have moments, and I think maybe this season has been that. But then next season it could be, you know, Candace, and the next season it'll be all about Hannah getting her. So I think Tyler has definitely spread the wealth with us. But I tend to be in everybody's business. And so because I'm in everybody's business, it does come across that way more than almost any other character. I got my little hand and, you know, in everybody's stuff, which I love, because that means I get to, you know, work with my castmates. So yeah, I mean, I'm having a ball. And I always say, you know, good art or a decent artist will make you feel something. It doesn't matter whether that something is good, bad, angry, tired, frustrated, but it should make you feel something. If you can be indifferent watching an artist's work, then something's missing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When it comes to you being a acting coach and working with other actors, I know a big thing with new actors is not feeling like they have to pay the dues of Hollywood and acting and theater, which again, everyone does, whether you like it or not. That winter is going to come. Mm-hmm. How do you prepare someone for that? Are you even able to prepare them for that?
That's such a great question, because we talk about it a lot. There's so many things about the younger generation today that I just love. Like, I feel like I'm one of them. I'm more them than my peers because, I just like to have fun. I like all kinds of music. I don't like tradition to the point that I can't move away from it. I don't like the shackles of that. So many things that I like. But one of the things that the younger artists have to maybe just think about a little bit, and like I said, without losing that freedom, because that's amazing, is I think because of the American Idol mentality, the hard work part is missing. It's like, why didn't they pick me? This was going to be my big break. Not understanding that sometimes you have to work for your big break. You have to train for it. You have to hustle for it. And it's not going to be overnight. One show isn't going to do that for you. And even if it does, when you win that show, you want to have a craft to bring to the table so you have a long career. So I think that idea of working hard and training hard and maybe doing some struggling, that's always a shock. It happens either way, whether you know it's going to happen, whether you welcome it or not, it happens. It's just the way it is. But it tends to throw people, and then they go into a depression or, want to quit the business. I'm through. I'm quitting. It's like, no, this is the game. This is what it is. Right. So now just figure out how you're going to manage it and stick with it until your opportunity comes. I have a YouTube channel. It's called Art and Spirit. Definitely go to Art and Spirit and subscribe, like, and comment. And it's just really a channel for other artists, creatives, because I believe everybody is creative. You don't have to be a professional artist to get inspired by it. There's other artists telling their story about how they came up and their challenges and what made them stick with it and all of those things. So definitely subscribe. If people's stories inspire you, I think you'll be inspired by Art and Spirit.
Absolutely. I think that's important as well. It's reassuring to people who are like coming up in whatever industries they're in to know that when there's rough times, you're not the only person that is going through them. Yeah. Because we get stuck in that moment and feel like it's you and it's something that you're doing wrong. And it's like, it happens. So it happens. People get out of it. This is how this one got out of it. This is how that one got out of it. And it kind of encourages you to keep pushing and knowing like that good part is right on the other side of that mountain.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
You're so great. This was so much fun. Thank you.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure to have you. Following your purpose is probably one of the biggest and best things you can do in your life. It doesn't matter if you are, as Angela was, living in your car, driving around the country, doing what you need to do, going from audition to audition, stage to stage, interview to interview, and finally end up in a city that gives her that audition that she lands that changes her life. We have to have faith in knowing that there's something in the cards for us that are going to make us blow up and explode. Not necessarily in fame, but in purpose. That's what we all work for, to make sure that our purpose is being fulfilled. Make sure that we can lay down at night knowing that we did something that impacts the world, knowing that we did something that someone at some point is going to see, and it may actually change their life. Find your purpose. This is, for me, another interview, another moment, another life lesson that you take away from the experience of another person. So thank you, Angela, for the time, and thank you all for watching. As always, y'all spread some love and stay suave. Peace.